Hello, everybody. My name is Jennifer Hansen, and I am the Director of Marketing here at Gulo. And Zach Wilson and I are here today to share some quick tips for writing website copy that converts. So what the plan is here that you can ask any questions. We're live, so Zach's going to go through some of the quick tips that we've been working on over here at Gulo. And if you have questions, just please submit them in the Q&A section here or the chat box, and I will try to direct those to Zach either during the presentation or following the presentation. If for some reason we don't get to all your questions, we will definitely answer them afterwards. One of the big questions we always get is, will there be a recording for this? And the answer is yes. So we will be sending that out to your email. So keep an eye out for that. So thank you so much for joining us. Zach, just wanted to hand this over to you. Here at Gulo, we are web design experts since 2003. And some of the things that we like to help our clients with are their web strategy, their web design, their UX, web development, content marketing, SEO, all of that kind of stuff. And part of all of that is the words on your website and how what you write on your website can help you connect with your customers and build trust and authority and build that connection with your customers when they land on your website. So that's what we're going to be covering today. And I'm going to hand you over to Zach Wilson, who is our co-founder. Hello, Zach.
Hello, thank you. A conversation with Jen and myself. So, yeah, so writing website copy that converts, the general idea here, as Darren Shaw from White Spark just said this actually today, and I thought it fitting to sneak in here because copy that converts is one part of the equation. What is another part of the equation? Well, there's a lot of it, but one of them is if you rank one, doesn't mean you're going to get the lead, right? Like that's obviously super important, but as we're here to talk about, so is the copy on your website, so is the user experience on your website, so is the user journey on your website. But today we're just going to focus on the copy. Well, there's nobody, in my opinion, better on the planet than Apple, and they embraced this fabulous word in 1977, where they came up with their marketing philosophy, which is we truly understand their needs, customer, better than any other company. In order to do a good job of the things we decide to do, we must eliminate all the unimportant opportunities. Customer empathy. And what are we going to do today? We're going to just focus on the words and why they matter. And if you ignore the copy on your website, you could be missing out on key opportunities. Connect, as we said earlier, getting people to your website is number one, but if you don't tell them why you are on your website or what you do on your website, then you've failed miserably and you've missed a very key opportunity. So what is conversion copywriting? Well, it's compelling a visitor to do something, right? And it's having the empathy to understand when someone comes to a page, any page on your website, why are they there? What brought them there? And what do you want them to do? So a good way to think about this is go back to high school when you learned how to, maybe middle school. Was that middle school or high school? I don't know when we learned how to do that. I don't know that I've ever learned how to do that well, but nonetheless.
I think it was,
Write a thesis.
I think it was high school. Yeah.
High school.
Yeah.
Your headline in this case is your thesis, and everything else, every word below the headline should defend or map to this thesis. Narrow the focus of the writing to a single goal. Again, that thesis. And the best way that we find to help people convert is be honest, tell the truth, and back it up with facts. So what does conversion look like? This is just getting into the meat and potatoes a little bit. Well, it can be anything. It can be making a phone call. It can be completing a form. It can be if you're e-commerce or DTC, adding something to a cart, subscribing to a newsletter, sharing something on social media, navigate to another page. That's a really, really, people don't think about that as a conversion, but if you bring someone into your page and you have a landing page that's just about awareness, well, you've won the lottery if you got them to go to another page. That's a conversion. Congratulations. But like, having a user or a session go beyond one page per visit, that's huge. You've convinced them to go somewhere else and continue their buyer journey or their customer journey. So part of this is, as we philosophically think about here, and we believe that every stage of your journey is really important, and try and be empathetic to your visitor and your user, to where they are in their journey, what question they're trying to find an answer to, and how you want to answer that question as a copywriter, or as your marketing team needs to answer that question. And part of that is just, again, knowing where they are in the journey and then trying to speak to their needs, whether it's a white paper, it's a webinar, it's you're trying actually in the purchase funnel, or the decision stage where you're actually converting or trying to close a sale. It's important that at the page, whatever page they're on, you're trying to address those needs. So here's a good
Right.
example.
And like one thing at a time, right? I'm just sorry to
Yeah.
jump in on that, but like
Yeah.
how you've got those 3 different stages for your customer journey. Like you want to make sure that you're not combining like the awareness with the decision. I think sometimes people try to get people to say, this is who we are now, buy our stuff. And sometimes that's just way too much for people. And so, yeah, if you have like one focus for awareness, one focus for consideration, and one focus for decision, those pages can be more effective. But that's cool. I like that.
You're reading the minds of the slides. customer focused copy.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, so that's extraordinarily important. And here's just an example to dive into really quickly. Anecdotally, this is actually a story. We were driving down the highway, my wife and I, one day, and we saw this big building and saw the name of the company, and I just said, "What's that?" Well, my wife Googled it. She landed on this the homepage, which said this: "Build dreams, change lives. Our passion is to build." It took her, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 minutes to figure out what this company did. They were general contractors for commercial construction, large building, industrial building, and office building construction. So this is not a client of ours, but we took the liberty to rephrase this. So you have the bad, what they have now, of me, a potential customer, probably not, but in this case, just a curious customer going to their homepage, trying to understand who they are and what they do. And instead of build dreams, change lives, and our passion is to build, which, yes, after building me a new office building, that might be the case. But prior to that, I literally don't know what you're doing. So let's just change it. They're general contractors who build dreams. They specialize in industrial building construction and office building construction, and they use concrete construction combined with tilt-up construction called Consteel Building System. Wow. Thank you very much, Gulo, for rewriting that and making that clear as day. So how do you do that? That was an exercise. We went from, creating a very vague marketing proposition to a very descriptive header, something that uses keywords, search volume, but also actually just says what they do. We're just being very literal. So, and this is, again, just being empathetic to our visitors, me going back to, as Jen said, where we are in the customer journey. Well, if I'm landing on a homepage, That's probably a good indication that I don't know, especially from a Google search, a brand. In this case, it was a branded Google search. I don't really know anything about the company. So just tell me really clearly and plainly what we're doing. And so focus on your copy. And how can we do that? A couple ideas here and things that we adhere to internally are keeping sentences short, cut the colloquial phrases and language. Don't use trite phrases that everybody, like we love our customers and we're a family business and things like that. And then a trick as you're composing these things are do the so what tests, is reread what you've written and then put yourself in the position of your visitor and say, so what, right? Like, so we're a family business. So what does that mean? It means nothing. We're we're digital marketers. So what can you do for me? Right. So that's a good indication after you're writing something. If you support that, again, going to the thesis, if that's your thesis, then you can support that down the page, but you need to support this and answer those questions. And another just great test for readability and clarity is, I joke, scream from the rooftops, but you can just say it and read it out loud to yourself. And does it make sense? And if it's not a clean, tight, short phrase or sentence, then to you, then it's definitely not going to be to someone that's never been to your website. So again, an exercise we did for these guys, same thing, short sentences, anywhere from 7 to 10 words. We have 5 in the H. This is an H2, e-commerce and retail analytics. In the H3, we got this down to 12. And then we have a bulleted list. So
It's so powerful because you can
so
see kind of at a glance, you just kind of absorb it without logically, you don't have to read the whole paragraph. The paragraph feels
right,
overwhelming.
right. We're saying exactly, who this is for, marketing teams, and what they can do: drive successful product information, accelerate sales faster, support sustainable business growth, and then learn how retail analytics can help CPGs, the customer, the CPG, their clients are CPGs. Great. Here's another one. This one actually we didn't do. This is actually on the a site, and this is just for actionable CTAs. This particular example has had I think it was like about 115% increase in conversions by changing the CTA. I didn't put in the before, but the before was, just join our newsletter or something like that. Very boring. Not supporting it with something actionable, get yours today, supporting it with something that's benefit driven, get a monthly tip, but make it short and digestible and provide value. Another hack is we have information everywhere. Don't be fluffy.
Yeah, you love
Try and
this
be
one.
concise. Stand out, add
Mhm.
social proof, and
Mhm.
try not to provide, don't be ambiguous. Answer questions before your visitors even has to ask. So here's an example. Replace adjectives with data. Most customers signed up for our newsletter through email. Okay, that's great. 78% of customers signed up for our newsletter through email. Great. That's so much more compelling. Just one, all I did was change one word from most to 78%. Just, now we've got data, now we've got impact, now we've got value. Much more powerful. So this is a sort of polarizing, can be polarizing depending on your brand or your business, but a lot of a lot of people try and be everything to everyone. Don't. It will not help you. Take a position, try and take a position if your executive team or your leadership allows you to. Know your audience and speak to them. Again,
because otherwise you're not speaking to anyone.
Right.
It's too generic. Yeah.
Right. What's the problem they need to solve? Answer their question. Use assertions and concrete examples, and just inject honesty and humility. Yeah, again, writing, write to build connections, powerful phrases, short, and try and you do that and speak to your audience. So here's our referral program is the best. The we're the best, the assertion. The tweak here, or we're the greatest ever. Great. Yeah, we're so great, whatever. But again, injecting data and value, as our referral program has helped 84 contractors increase their sales by 23%. Here I'm using an assertion, data, supported by numbers, and again, being very objective in terms of how we're doing that. Night and day difference. So here's where a lot of people, especially marketing teams, this can be, excuse me, internal conflict for, depending on, comms, marketing, executive, your search team. But, to provide clarity to the customer, cut the jargon, don't assume anything that your visitors know them. Don't make any assumptions on the page. Right. This is a Flesh Kincaid, write to a sixth grader, a sixth grading reading level. And this is actually, the funny thing is this, the smartest people always are able to unwrap really complex concepts very well because they understand them, and very cleanly and easily. And that's an art, and that's actually very challenging. And you'll sometimes, if you're ever on Twitter, trying to do that on Twitter, you can ramble on for hundreds of words, and then all of a sudden you whittle it down, and you've come to realize that you said the exact same thing that you said in 300 words, just by cutting out some fluff and some transitional phrases. So it does take more time, but it can be done, and ultimately it's more effective.
Can I just add something into that? Because I think that I think that's a fantastic point, and I think it's something that we skip over a lot, especially because when we're building our own website for our own company, we're all wrapped up in it. Our management team's all wrapped up in it, and we know ourselves so well that we want to just tell them everything all the time.
Right.
You don't understand that your customers they have a life. They've got other problems, and their kids and their work and their house, and all these other things they're dealing with. They're coming to your website for a solution to their problem. They can't wade through all the stuff.
Right.
So by simplifying it, we're making it so much easier for them to understand, absorb the information quickly, and make a decision. So yeah, I mean, just supporting what you're saying, but yeah, it's, life is chaotic. Like, let's simplify it for people so that they can understand it easily.
Yes.
Cool.
Keep
Yeah.
it simple. Nix acronyms. So this is again something that embodies all of that in a nice Venn diagram. Since we're into citing what grades we learned this in, I'm going to go with middle school on this one. But anyway, when we learned about Venn diagrams. But anyway, this is the confluence of again, marketing, search teams, and then potentially like executives or sales teams that are just using rhetoric and jargon and stuff like that. So what do we want to do? We do want to find the happy medium, so that when visitors land on your site, they know what you're talking about. We're not using a bunch of acronyms and rhetoric and marketing fluff, as in that earlier example of general contractors for industrial companies, it can make a visitor's experience very, very frustrating and confusing, which again, in that example where my wife was spent almost 3 minutes just trying to find out what somebody did, that's just unacceptable in this day and age, and you will not convert any visitors that way. So another trick here excuse me, is use adjectives. This is a good example, is, you know, pay a fee, $5 fee, and pay a small $5 fee. This was actually a case study that I came across, that this the group that implemented this change had a 76% increase in their conversions by adding the word small. And you know, it's $5, but it's not a big $5. It's a very small $5, and that can be the difference in making a conversion. So how do we do copyright? Conversion rates, as writing good copy can increase your conversion rates. This is from Liz Willett, someone I follow on LinkedIn, who's a professor. She's a marketer, but she's also an adjunct professor, I think, at UVM as well. So another thing that we like to tell people, or instruct people, coach people on, is to sell a benefit or use a benefit and not a feature. Especially, this is especially true for SaaS companies, which, you know, have feature pages, and they're trying to warm customers to find the value in what their service is. It can be true for professional services as well, of course, but, you know, here's a feature, which is view lesson archives. So, you know, see a history of all the lessons you've taken for this particular software. Well, or you can, you know, make progress every day. Like the latter is the benefit, and the former is the feature. And if I, as a visitor, can know that I can improve every day and make progress, that to me is, again, a much more impactful phrase. So just to round things out here, you know, about copy that converts, think differently, think outside the box. The reality of all of this is that it takes time, it takes effort. There's no, as I said, Betty Crocker formula. There's no magic bullet to any of this. There's no best practices either. It takes time. If you're into the conversion optimization and copy optimization, do not just go out and start changing things on the website. Test them, track them, and be systematic about it.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us.